Well, welcome everybody. My name is Camino de Paz. I'm the Assistant Dean of Global Network Programs at the Yale School of Management. I've been at Yale for 8 years now. And before Yale, I was for almost 14 years at IE Business School, another global network school in Spain. As you can tell from my accent, I am not from the US, I am actually from Spain. And as part of my role here at SOM, I oversee the Global Network for Advanced Management, which is a network of 32 schools around the world. All our students here today are part of a Global Network, and they did their MBA at a Global Network school. And since a little bit over a year ago, I've been overseeing also admissions for 2 of our degree programs, which is the Master of Advanced Management that we're presenting to you today with the experiences from our students, and then the Master in Global Business and Society, which is a pre-experienced master's for students that have graduated from a Master's in Management program. So without further ado, I'm gonna let our panelists introduce themselves because they are the really important ones today. They've been in your shoes not that long ago, and I'm sure you're eager to hear from them what their experience was like when deciding to apply to the program, and now that they are currently doing the program, how they're experiencing and living the MAM as current students. So I'm gonna start following the squares in my screen. So Wing, if you could go first and introduce yourself, that would be great.
Sure, thank you very much, Camino, and good afternoon, good morning, everyone, wherever you are in the world. My name is Win, and as you can tell from the name, or you might not be able to, I'm from Thailand originally. I've lived in a few countries around the world, like I spent my high school in Singapore, and then I went to University College London for undergraduate degree, and I stayed on to work in London for another 3 or 4 years as a consultant. And last year, I took my leave from that job to take my MBA in Japan. And my home MBA school is called Hitotsubashi University in the International Corporate Strategy School, or we call that ICS. And so this year I'm in SOM. Like, I can talk a little bit more about this later, but in short, I've been engaging with a few people from consulting club. I'm going to ski in February with a ski and snowboarding club, which is quite exciting. And I'm also teaching Japanese as a teaching fellow at Yale College. So it's like on campus kind of a job thing that I do right now, which is really interesting. So nice to meet you, everyone. So ask me anything about consulting, Yale SOM, traveling, skiing. I would love to talk to you.
Thank you so much. Florence, can you go next?
Sure, Camino. Hi, my name is Florence Qin. I am originally from China. I'm born and raised in a lovely coastal city in the northeast part of China called Dalian. And I went to Hong Kong for undergraduate and stayed in Hong Kong afterwards for almost a decade. And before my MBA with Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, I was working in branding and marketing for Manchester United Football Club, Lensing Fibers. And I also during MBA, I took a consulting internship with BASF and Profit, which is a brand consulting firm. So the couple of things I'm involved in Yale is I am a VP of marketing for the Greater China Club here at Yale SOM, and I'm also actively participating in the consulting club, and also I am also a member of the snow and skiing club as well. So if you have any questions on branding, marketing, living in Hong Kong, or a career path career path for Asia, just feel free to let me know.
Thank you, Florence. Talina, can you go next?
Yes, of course. Well, thanks for having us and welcome everyone in the panel. I'm excited because I'm also learning things about my classmates, by the way. So I'm Talina. I'm originally from Argentina. I'm from a small town in Patagonia called Comodoro Rivadavia, which is on the seaside. I grew up there. I studied in Buenos Aires. I started working in digital marketing and eventually got a job at Google. And with Google, I moved to Mexico and then the US in Boulder, Colorado. And with about 9 years of working experience, I decided it was time to get an MBA. And I chose to do it at Oxford in the UK. I wanted to live in Europe for at least 1 year. And I'm here complementing those studies. In terms of my involvement with clubs, I've been involving a little bit with the technology club because of my experience, and a little bit with the general management club as well. But I haven't taken any leadership roles as some of my classmates here have, because I'm doing the science concentration, and I took way too many credits in that regard. I'm very, very busy with the STEM side of it.
Thank you so much. We had another panelist, Puna, but she had an emergency, so she had to drop the call. So we're going to continue with our three students. So the first question that I have, and I'm going to be asking this question to the three of you. Then for following up questions, I might be directing to one or another, but I think this is important for the three of you to answer this question is, how do you decided to do the MAM? How did you find out about the program? And then what was your decision process? Because you probably had many options out there after the MBA, and why did you decided to pursue the MAM? Now we're gonna start with you, Dalina.
Oh, sounds good. So my process was a little bit different because I didn't decide while I was doing the MBA. I decided before joining the MBA because of the MAM option. So I went the other way around. When I was doing research about MBAs and I started applying and everything, I actually had other offers, but I chose Oxford because it would allow me to do 1 year in Europe. And then with the MAM, you know, I was assuming I would get in, but if I got the chance to do it, then I would do 1 year and 1 year with the same time investment and more or less the same money investment that a 2-year MBA would take me in the US. And I decided to go through that path because I wanted to have different experiences, and I didn't want to have, to do the same thing for 2 years. And that's how I ended up choosing the MAM. And I found out about it while I was doing research of MBAs in the US. It was in the website, and I got very excited about that possibility. And then I realized that Oxford was part of that network, and that's how I made the decision and the connection. And then I thought it was also a good idea to complement what was a just 1 year MBA in the case of Oxford.
Thank you. Florence, what about you?
Well, one of the, well, let me start. I've always wanted to, spend a period of time in US for study. But when I applied for my MBA, it was the start of COVID. So in the wish of I don't want to, do a hybrid or do an online MBA. So I stayed in Hong Kong. I joined HKUST. So when I find out, I was just casually browsing the MBA website when I come across this program, MAM, and I found it to be really interesting because the one thing that attracts me the most is the ideology of SLM. It's about educating the leaders for the business and society. Because in my previous job, my second job was working for a sustainable fiber company. So for that fiber company, the reason when I joined that company is because the fiber the company produced actually biodegrade in 6 weeks, whereas polyesters biodegrades in 400 years. So I want to make an impact. So following that thread, I am actually really interested in this ideology of the SLM. That's why I started to apply, and then one thing led to another. I got in luckily.
Thank you. Wing, what about you?
Yeah, so for me, it's quite similar to what Dalina mentioned. So I decided to do the double degree kind of program before I even apply for my MBA. And the reason for that is because I wasn't sure where I wanted to work. So for me, I've lived abroad since I was 15. And so like I've been so many countries. So now like, what is the next step for me? I still couldn't decide back then 2 years ago. And so this program kind of provides me with kind of the best of both worlds in a quotation mark. So one side is like Japan, which is, a very advanced country within the East Asia region. And also with another year in USA, which is arguably like where my industry, which is consulting and tech, is booming right now. So I just want at least to spend some time in the USA. But to come to USA, it's also good, but I treasure the the perspective that the Japanese MBA also offers me. So Japan, like when we contrast Japan and US, Japan is like kind of talks a lot about purpose or tradition in business, right? And then US also, here at Yale, we talk about business and society, as Florence mentioned. So there are like contrasts and there are some similarities, and these are the things that I want to kind of explore a little bit more. And further from that, right, like of course, like network and perspective is important. And I just think that living in US itself, by just being here, you kind of experience things a little bit differently, whereas you do it from other places. So that's why, you know, again, as Florence says, things lead to another things, and I end up here this year.
Thank you so much. To our attendees, if you have questions, please feel free to put them on the chat, and I will make sure that I address those to our panelists. And then in the meantime, I will continue asking them questions, but feel free to also contribute your own, and I will make sure that they get answered live. So Florence, what would you say the MAM adds to an MBA? You have an MBA, and then what is the MAM contributing to what you have already done in your MBA?
It's a good question. So I've been thinking about that along my journey as well. I think one thing that I learned from my MBA is that it developed a specific skill set, make me look at things more strategically from a more, analytical perspective. And one of the reasons I want to join MAM is because I want to expand my scope. And what Yale SOM got to offer here is there is a variety of topics that you can pick from. I took classes in entrepreneurship, I took class in marketing, strategy, in finance, FP&A. I took class in non-SOM course. I actually took a class called Introduction to Cognitive Science. So I think in a way, this MAM program gave me a lot of access to different knowledge space that MBA was not able to. And then on the other hand, I think this 2-year journey is a journey for me to actually learn more about myself. What do I want to do in the future? What is my strengths? What is my weakness? I feel like the first year I have just have a glimpse of what it is. So the second year I actually had more time to sink in, to actually think about what do I want to do and what is my strengths and weakness.
Thank you. Dalina, how would you describe the SOM community?
Well, that's a great question. So I think that what surprised me a little bit is, first of all, the diversity. I came from Oxford, and Oxford does a lot of effort in getting a lot of international students. So I wasn't expecting SOM to be as diverse as it is, just by point of comparison, but I was like very, very surprised in a good way how diverse the MAM cohort is, but also, when we get to take classes with the MBAs, the different type of profiles. And I think that's fascinating. Of course, everyone is super smart, super driven, interesting people with interesting profiles and stories. And I'm very happy to be part of said community. I think that you have a true chance to make a lot of friends, to get to know people that could help you in your career in the future, and also to contribute a lot from your unique perspective.
Thank you. When we have a question from the audience, can you please speak a bit more about your experience with the Consulting Club at Yale?
Sure, yeah. I'll give some my interactions with Consulting Clubs, and maybe my friends can add on to that. So basically, Consulting Club, as I experienced it, because now there are people in second year, right, MBA second year, and we just slot into the MBA second year's cohort. They help a lot with recruiting. So when I land in the United States, on the first week, they hold something called a boot camp. And boot camp is basically a 1-day, 8 hours training session for you, basically how to ace a consulting interview. So I know 8 hours is not near enough, right, to prepare a consulting interview, but they give a very succinct and very good starting point for you to just jump in and then start practicing your interviews. And after that sort of initial session, then they assign me to this case team. So there will be a case leader, case team leader, I think that's what they're called, who are either ex McKinsey, Bain, BCG, or other consulting firms who had interned there during the summer and has gotten a return offer. So they'll be starting next year, and they were kind of assigned to coach and kind of practice with us in our casing interviews. So that's one thing that I find really useful, because in my school, we didn't have a lot of students. So we were a batch of around 40 to 50 students. So there were no things like consulting club with a lot of resources to provide. So with Yale Consulting Club, I think there were a lot of people who are very motivated to recruit for consulting. And because of that, you kind of do case practices with a lot of the members from the consulting club. You kind of get a lot of feedback. And also when giving the case interviews, you kind of learn a lot of things about what people say during interview, what is favorable, what is not favorable. So things like that. I think from my perspective, it's just the recruiting side that helped me a lot. Not sure if Florence and Galina has any other perspective.
Just to add on to Wing's point, I think there is a mentorship, like an atmosphere of mentorship in the consulting club. As Wing said, there are a lot of people, second years, they have offer and they're willing to contribute. They're willing to, have a one-on-one case interview with you. They are willing to, talk to you about how this process works, how consulting works in the United States. And one thing that really not impressed me, or one thing that I think I really need to point out is that since we are a 9-month program, so our recruiting schedule for consulting is very condensed. So we probably need to start preparing from the start of your journey, and then at this point, most people who apply for consulting has already have an offer on hand.
I could add something, but not on the consulting side, the technology club side, because I imagine some attendees here may be interested in technology. Similarly to what my classmates said about consulting, they also do preparation sessions to prepare you for interviews, because interviewing for consulting like Google, Microsoft, and so on, and Amazon as well, it's a little bit different that you would expect maybe for other industries. So there are like different sessions throughout to help you prepare. There is also case preparation. The casing in technology is very, very different to the casing in consulting. You have a lot of resources to get through it. And they also do peer practice scheduling, so you can get the chance to practice. And I participated in a few of those sessions. It's very, very well managed and organized.
Galina, continuing with you, can you speak a little bit more about the STEM concentration? What does it mean? What do you have to do to get the STEM concentration? What implications does it have? And how does it compare to the regular MAM without the STEM concentration?
Yeah, of course. So the MAM requires you to do 40 credits in total. To get the STEM concentration, 16 of those 40 credits should be considered part of the STEM concentration. So you have a list of courses that you have to select from to be able to get those, let's say it's STEM points. I'm not sure what the correct name for it is. And from that list, you select and across your electives, you select some of those STEM courses. And it allows you to have further further business analytics courses. In my case, I'm taking still one class in computer science, which is not even in SOM, it's in the computer science school. So you get a chance to go through that list and choose what works for you. Not every course that is analytics related will be part of the STEM concentration. It's like a cure list that the school already decided upfront on. And what I understand, which is not my case, but some people, especially for people that come from abroad that want to stay in the US, it could help you with your visa to get an additional year, for what I understand. So a lot of people that want to stay in the US choose to do STEM concentration just to get the visa status. I haven't needed to use it, but that's the reason. In my case, I chose it because I studied communications in undergrad. In the MBA, in my school, it wasn't that analytical, so I needed to further my skills in that sense. And I think it also helped me land a job now. So it's been super useful.
Thank you. Wing, how is it like to live in New Haven?
Oh, wow. Okay, where do I start? New Haven, It's very cold. That's the first point. Today is -3 degrees, and yesterday was our first snow. I'd say life in New Haven is like a typical college city, right? So Yale sits in the middle of New Haven, and we're kind of like walk around the campus when we go around New Haven, in a sense. The campus part is really beautiful because the architecture of Yale is quite, I don't know what the word for that type of architecture is, but it is beautiful. When you walk through, you will definitely bump into other undergraduates or other graduates study at Yale. So it's a very I feel like it's tightly knitted community. And there were times when I just walk through the campus and I meet people who I tutor Japanese on the street, and they would say, hi, everyone's very friendly. So that's kind of the atmosphere of the Yale community. On the food side, we are really popular with kind of pizzas, right? We have like white clam pizza, and I didn't know that existed before I came to New Haven. Tried that 2 weeks ago for the first time. It's pretty good. Yeah, nightlife is also good. We have a few bars around, and Yale ourselves. Like I know before COVID, we did organize a lot of activities, and now with COVID kind of ramping down, we kind of have some events going on with safety protocols and things like that.
Okay, Florence, we have a question from the audience. Would you like to talk a little bit more about your MAM study experience? Do you have the opportunity to study or work with other students from other programs? Do you audit courses? What are the most challenging courses? What are your favorite courses? Can you talk a little bit about your experience so far?
Sure, that's a very long question. Yes. The simple answer is yes. We have a lot of opportunities to study and work with students from the other programs. So the bidding system is quite complicated. You got allocated a certain number of points, and then you need to use your point to bid for the course that you want. And for all of the courses is shared among most of the student from the SOM. We have, you work with, I've worked with students from GBS, from asset management, from MBA, from risk management. And I think so far it's quite a good environment for everybody to collaborate together. And my favorite course so far is I actually take a wide range of course covering a lot of scopes. So I take STEM. I'm taking STEM concentration as well. I really, really enjoyed it. I think it's serious. The course here for STEM is really actually help you to cultivating skills in the STEM space. So the one course I'm taking at the moment that I really enjoy is an advanced business analytics. That course teach you how to use Solver, how to draft code on R to solve real life business situations. And then there's another course I'm taking this semester called marketing strategy. It's taught by a professor I really like, Ji Wong, and they have cases from different industries to help you understand what is the underlying logic of marketing across different scenarios. And then their entrepreneurship courses. There's a professor called AJ. I love it. He have a lot of courses on entrepreneurship, search fund acquisition, etc., which is really interesting, eye-opening as well. Well, I can go on and on with the list. There's a lot of course that is really interesting. So my overall study experience is great. There is actually a really good atmosphere here in Evans Hall. People are, there's space for studying, there's space for networking, space for hang out together, and there's space for just simply having fun in the courtyard. So in overall, it's really amazing.
Thank you, Florence. Dalina, you mentioned before that you're taking at least one course, maybe more outside of SOM, and we have a question related to that. So how's the experience in terms of academics as well as networking of courses taken outside of the School of Management at any other of the professional schools?
Well, that's a good question. So I'm taking that course outside of SOM, but also game theory, which is kind of hybrid between SOM and outside, and actually the classes are outside of SOM. So basically 2 courses outside of the school with undergrads in the mix. And it's interesting. Undergrads are very driven, are super smart. So I think it's slightly different. For the computer science, I found it a little bit harder to get a team together because we have very different schedules, and that was a little bit of a challenge at the beginning. But you get to learn a lot, and especially in the computer science, all these kids know much better than I could possibly do computer science related. So it's been very, very helpful, very interesting in terms of that part of the networking. And it gives you the opportunity to also visit other buildings or other parts of the schools that maybe otherwise you wouldn't get to see at all if you are not doing that. And in SOM, it doesn't affect you in any negative way that you're spending some time outside of SOM itself. And I think Win is also doing the mentorship with Japanese. I don't know if you get to explore a little bit as well, but that's, I mean, for me, it's one of the best things about taking classes outside of SOM.
Perfect. We have a question. Wing, I'm gonna put you on the spot. The question is, and I can answer then the second part from the admissions perspective, but what do you think are the key success factors to be admitted into the program? What was your wow factor?
What's the wow factor? Oh my God, that's a tough question. I think there are two things that maybe you would want to think about when you write your application. One, the first thing is definitely your experiences. So think about the things that you have been doing before and how you are able to bring that to the table at Yale SOM. So essentially, what is your unique point? Say for my unique point, for example, is that I've lived in 5 different countries in the world, and maybe that's a different perspective, or my cultural dexterity. That's what I call it. Like, so when I meet people from different culture, I tend to kind of get close to them, or like be compatible with them faster than usual. So that's what I understand as my own strength. So things like that, maybe try to highlight that when you write your application. Second of all is the aspect of how you fit in with the SOM community. So as Florence mentioned, the SOM focuses on business and society. So think about the business goals that you have in the future and try to maybe do a double check of that, or reality check whether, okay, is that really the thing that you want to do? And think about like 50 years, or maybe not 50 years, or 20 years down the road, if you're doing that, would you think about something that also has a social perspective? So things like, instead of just doing entrepreneurship, would you think about a social entrepreneurship that gives back to the society as well? So things like that, maybe have a long reflection session, also try to think about your future. And then when you're comfortable, then maybe you try to put thoughts on a paper and then start the application from there. That's my advice.
You explained it very well. We're trying to look for fit for the school and the mission and the program. Why? Try to explain to us, why do you need this program? And we're always looking for excellence as well. But do not come to us saying that you want to come to Yale because it's a very prestigious school. That's not a good answer. That's not a good application. You have to make the case for yourself. So that would be my advice. Florence, we have another question. Do you share career resources with the MBAs? How is the interaction with the Career Development Office?
Right, so we have a very helpful CDO officer, a CDO mentor, Christine. She helps us. She basically mentored us on, how do you do your CV? How do you write your cover letter? What is your strategy to apply for a job here in US, or if you want to go for international offices? And there are a lot of, I think what helps me the most is the resources from the consulting club. And also that there are a lot of resources from it's called CDO, Career Development Office, on the recruitment schedule, and we have a platform called CMS, Career Management Platform, where you got listed different kind of jobs, which company it's quite magical, that platform. You can see this company hired how many people from Yale SOM, what kind of position they hired in the past, and there are memos from the CDO team that tells you how you should formulate your strategy. Do you need a cover? It can be as detailed as, do you need a cover letter? How do you want to how do you want to write your CV, and who you need to talk to? And also one of the most important thing that I need to mention is each of the target firm, they actually have a representative on campus, not on campus, but representative for Yale SOM. So you will be able to, know who that is, connect with them on LinkedIn and talk with them and discuss about your career inspiration and your recruitment process. I hope that helps.
Thank you. Dalina, what advice would you give to people that are preparing to apply to SOM? What would be your advice?
Yeah, so the first thing is try to think of what makes you unique. I remember that when I was trying to apply, and also for the MBA, right? If you haven't gone to that part yet, sometimes it's hard, and I'm Latina, and for me it's very, very hard to think about the things that makes me great or that makes me unique. And it was kind of a challenge at the beginning, but there is always something that you can speak of that makes you different, that gives you a different perspective, and you probably have examples of that. So I would first focus on that. What makes you special, even though the word special may have certain connotations, but what makes you different and what can you talk about, and really try to think about that. And the other thing would be, manage your time. It takes a little bit of time to get the recommendation letter. You cannot leave that to the last minute. You can even start the application before you are ready to complete everything, just to have an idea what it looks like, because you can come back and finish later. And the form is a little bit long, so you do need to have separate time to do that, to write your essay. And you can send the link for the person that is going to make your referral in advance, as soon as you open the profile and the application process. And that's what I did. I gave them some time to go over the link and to complete what they wanted to say about me. And I didn't expect them to do it in the last week or something like that. So that would be my advice as well.
Thank you. We more on careers. One of the participants wants to know, how is the labor and hiring climate, especially for visa sponsored jobs here in the US, considering everything COVID related? Do you know, or any of you, I don't know who has tried to recruit here in the US and have visa connotations?
In terms of visa, I'm not too sure, but definitely there are opportunities in the US. So we recruit, so MAMs recruit together with MBA. So we send the applications into the same track. So Florence mentioned the platform called CMS. That's where we submit applications for some of the companies. So we went into the same pool, and we did get some positive responses, like interviews, and we progress on to final rounds and things like that. Of course, once you get into the interview, then it depends on you whether you make it, you present yourself well or not, and things like that, right? But I think US is opening up, so post-COVID, I mean. So there are definitely opportunities. Visa, I only know that OPT gives you 1 year, but with STEM, you get 3 years. But aside from that, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. So everyone who graduates from this program have access to OPT, optional practical training, so they can stay for an additional year under their student visa and work in the US. And if they follow the STEM concentration, that year extends up to 3. So you wouldn't have to be sponsored until the end of that period. But of course, you need a job offer. So that's for sure. You shouldn't apply to the program just to stay and work in the US, because that's an unknown. Dalina, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add some context. I also have a few friends that are going through that process. So I can speak of that as well. So when you go to CMS and you're about to apply, most companies are very, very explicit whether they will sponsor visas or not. So people get you don't need to waste time in a company that may not sponsor your visa. So that's very, very clear. And you get to focus on the ones that do. And then the CDO office is really good at help you prepare, but also, we mentioned the interview process that is up to you. They also help you practice a lot if you need to, because interviewing, and I noticed that interviewing in the US is very different to interviewing in Argentina, Mexico, or other places. And I imagine that's all across. So it's good to take the time to do that, even if you're very confident with your interviewing skills. So it does seem that everything is opening up. There are a lot of job offers, especially for structured hiring, which is a little bit different than, experienced hiring. There were a lot of opportunities, and I know I have friends that already got, the visa sponsorship to stay and got jobs here. So even before the mid of the year, I've seen people that already got that. So it's definitely feasible. It's up to you, but it's feasible.
Thank you. We have another question, but I think this is more for me. So somebody wants to know the opportunities to get into the program, but after having graduated from the MBA, so basically 1 year post MBA. And I would say it's totally doable. We always say that you have to be either, recent graduate or up to maybe 3-4 years post MBA. The reason being that we need for you to have fresh in your mind all the basic concepts of the core of the MBA to make the most out of the classes that you will be taking at the MAM. But yes, 1 year out of the MBA is perfectly fine, as well as 2, 3, or even 4 years. Okay, let me see what else do we have here. Have any of you come with partners or children, or you came along? No. Do you know of people that have come with families and how easy was or difficult for them to settle with a family here?
Yeah, actually, I think some of our classmates come with their partners. And I've heard something about there is a Yale Partners Club. So they met on a frequent basis. And the partners of Yale student, they actually can take classes here at Yale, but it's a separate process. I'm probably not the best person to answer that, but I know that there's a lot of social activities and also academic activities available for the partners.
Yeah, they can audit classes. They cannot take them for credit, but with permission of professors, they can audit some of the classes.
Yeah, I also know.
Oh, go ahead, Dalina.
Oh, sorry. That I also know a few that came with their partners. I'm not sure exactly how the visa process is. I noticed a lot of them kind of got married around the time that came. So maybe that's because of the visa process. It makes it more easy. I'm not sure, can say exactly, but it seems like it. And I guess most people get very integrated with the community. It's up to their partners whether or not they invite them over to events and things like that. But it's very open. I got a boyfriend, and I invited him, for example, for the game Yale Harvard, and that was possible to do. So, there are a lot of social events like that where you can bring your partner as well.
Thank you. Oh, we have a question about Global Network Weeks. I know that at least Wynn did a Global Network Week. I don't know about Florence and Dalina, but they say, did any of you attend a Global Network Week, and how was the experience? Well, Wynn attended our Global Network Week, so he cannot say anything bad. You might have to direct message him because we're here, so he cannot say anything bad about Global Network Week in front of me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so I took the Global Network Week last year while I was in my home MBA school, and the class was organized by SOM, and it was like a week-long class. And I think the reason why I chose SOM GNW is because first I want to come here, obviously, and then secondly is the time frame that you organize the classes. I think it matches with many countries around the world. I'm not sure if that's on conscious effort or not, but if it's conscious, then kudos to you.
Very conscious effort. We block the same week, and everybody hosts and sends students at the same time.
Yeah, that is a very big factor for me, because some of the classes, they run 8 hours a day, and it runs from 1 a.m. to like 9 a.m. in the morning. Definitely cannot do that alongside my MBA. And so I feel like the reasons were kind of make sense for me to take the Yale's GNW. And experience-wise, it's like a short and sweet version of Yale's elective that you would be taking in person here. So take it like a taster. If you like that, there's a high chance that you would like the courses taught here at SOM. So for example, Zoe Chance, she taught influences at Yale SLM that year. And during GNW, she also gave her a short version of her lecture, which is 2 to 3 hours long. Basically, it's a good summary of the whole course without the, the homework, essentially. Hope that helps, yeah.
Thank you. There's a question for me. Can we enroll before graduating the MBA? The answer is yes. So you can start your application process at the same time as you're doing your MBA. And for some schools, we even have concurrent degrees where you do part of the program at your home school and then part of the program here, and your home school gives credit to the class that you take here. So definitely yes. Most of our students apply to the MAM while they're still doing their MAM. Oh, this is a very good question. Okay, Florence, what is something that has surprised you while being at Yale? Only at Yale moment.
Sorry, only at Yale moment.
Yes, what is something that surprised you at Yale that you wouldn't have experienced anywhere else? This is not me, it's from the audience, so I'm not asking a question. It's from somebody in the audience. What is like a Yale moment for you? Something that you were like, oh wow, this is so unique. This is a Yale moment.
Number one Yale moment is to meet the bulldog. Handsome Dan. That's definitely top of the chart. Number one Yale moment. I'm a dog mom myself. I am obsessed with puppies. So it's really, you can actually see there's every time Handsome Dan is like the mascot, the spiritual mascot for Yale SLM. So every time, I think they come out once in a week or once in a month. I'm not sure about that. I need to check. But every time Handsome Dan went into the school, everybody was, just take a time to, talk to each other and, spend some time with Handsome Dan. And the second Yale moment is actually to study in different libraries in Yale University. So there are a lot of different libraries here. So I go to Bass, I go to Sterling's. So you actually got to experience a university life here, which is quite interesting for me. The third Yale moment is probably, I didn't go, but there was a Yale Harvard game. It's actually the moment for the fall semester. Everybody is cheering for Yale, and you can actually sense that good spirits of sportsmanship from Instagram pictures. I was traveling, so I didn't go, but I think that's definitely one of the top Yale moment as well.
Thank you. Windalina, any specific Yale moments for you?
I can just add some kind of comments about the game because I was there. It's a lot of fun. I've never seen something like that before. In Argentina, we are not that big in sports. We don't have big stadiums like that unless you're playing professional soccer, but not at school level, definitely not at college level. So that was amazing. People get very excited, they chant things, it gets super busy. All the students were there, everyone wearing blue and crimson for Harvard. And even though we lost at the last kind of few seconds, which was ridiculous, it was a lot of fun. And you get to eat food, drink some beer before getting in. It's amazing. It seems that a lot of people that graduated years ago also come back. So you have a very wide range of alumni and ages. And I think that's also great. It was a lot of fun.
Great. When we have a question, oh, sorry, are you gonna say something?
Oh, I was going to add about the last question.
Go ahead.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm going to echo what Florence said about libraries. They're super cool. You can search it online and the pictures are just like what they look like in real life. So absolutely, if you come to Yale, then definitely visit the library. But my wow moment is actually a little bit academic. So in one of the classes, also I took with Florence, it's called Patterns in Entrepreneurship with AJ as a professor. And that was our first class. And as an MBA student, we know the experience of reading a case, right, before coming to class. And the case would tell a story about a protagonist. He does his own startups and fail and whatever, right? And then we went on I joined the class and then we discussed the case for about an hour. And the final 20 minutes, AJ just revealed, hey, everyone, please welcome da 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 da. And he was the protagonist in the case, right? From SBS case, and he just popped onto Zoom. And he was just like telling his own story. How did the case turn out? And we were able to talk with him directly, ask him like really frank questions. So like, so what would you do differently? Because last time your entrepreneur like venture failed, for example. And I thought that was like a special event, right? Because it's the first class, and he would invite someone, special to join our class. But no, actually, it happened throughout the term. So every single class, he invited the protagonist to join us. So that was the best class that I took. It was like really like an impressive class that I think we wouldn't get that, outside the US or maybe other business schools. Yeah.
Thank you, Wing. Florence, we have a question. If there are only 2 required courses within the MAM, how do you guys keep the engagement as a cohort and as the program? Like how in depth you build relationships with the MAMs if you are not always together in class?
So the initial encounter we have is a 1 week full length of orientation. So during that orientation, we spend 8 hours or more, plus, if we have any activity after the orientation, so 8 to 12 hours per day together. So that will be the foundation of the relationship you build within the MAM cohort. Actually sit next to Wing during the orientation. That will become really familiar along the MAM journey. And another thing is that we don't have a student committee, but we have a class president. So the class president will have foundings from the school, which he organized different activities. We'll have at least 1 or 2 activities of mixer among our cohort. So that will be something that boosts our relationships among the cohort. And also you'll see each other in electives as well. So we actually have close, I would say, community within MEM, even though we only have 2 classes together.
Thank you. We are a little bit over 10 minutes left, and I want to make sure that I give our panelists the opportunity to answer any question that I might not be asking or the audience might not be asking. So is there anything that you wish you had been asked because you think would help a potential candidates? Or anything, any of advice that you want to give them? Anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, I actually want to add on to a previous question of what is the key thing you think that's important on your application. For me, I think it's always about the story. What is your story? Why do you want, what's your purpose? For me, it's always about the purpose. Why do you want to join Yale? Why Yale? Why you? My story is about, I want to make an impact to society, and actually echoes with my journey before my MBA and along my MBA as well. So I think for each applicant, the most important thing is think about what is your story? What story do you want to tell to the admission committee that they will find a synergy between you and Yale SOM. But this, I think this recruiting process, Camino, you know it way better than I am.
I do, but you are on target. I mean, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for people that really care about our mission, that really care about our school, and that can explain to us why the MAM makes sense to them. That's super important to us because it's not a program for everybody. And you can go back after your MBA and be very successful in the workforce. So you have to really prove to us why the MAM makes sense to you. And then we are looking into building a class, right? So we want diversity of profiles, diversity of cultures, and also, as you tell your story, we want different stories. We don't want the same story over and over. And then we're also looking for people that are gonna be our ambassadors, but not during 1 year, for the rest of your lives. So we're also looking for people that can represent us well in the world as they, advance in their careers and make an impact. So yeah, when you are applying, you probably just see your own personal application and a story. We are looking at how do you fit in a broader class that we're trying to build. I guess that would be my insight from the admissions team side.
I can add on a little bit. So I think one thing I would do slightly differently is I would talk to more alumni or current students. I only talked to 2 or 3 of them They are from my home MBA schools, from Hitotsubashi. One of them were here last year, and then 2 of them were graduated 2 years ago. So I had a chance to talk with them before applying, and that kind of helped me kind of visualize. And I know from your perspective, you're not here yet, and just from reading the website, it's really hard to really understand what is going to happen if you come to Yale. So talking to alumni or current students help you kind of visualize that a little bit better. So I would encourage you to do that. And every one of Yale MAM that I contacted, even before application or post applications, are very friendly, and they would most of the time say yes. The only time they would say no is because they really don't have time and they're like doing some project or whatever. But that is like 1 out of 20 people that I contacted. Really do that, I think. Yeah, that's not a good ending, but yeah, okay. That's my advice.
Thank you. Dalina, any question that wasn't asked that you would like to give your view, or any piece of advice?
Yeah, so I was going to say something very similar to Win. Talk to people. People are always welcome to talk to you. Just reach out on LinkedIn, and most people will give you an answer. I did the same thing. I spoke with people throughout over a year, and people that graduated at different times to also have a perspective of how that impacted their careers in the long term. And especially if you want to have a good experience in the US, I highly recommend it. But beyond that, I just wanted to say like a mini pitch. Honestly, and being completely transparent, I'm very, very happy to have made the choice to come here. It's been an amazing opportunity, an amazing journey. And it's honestly an amazing network to be part of for the rest of our lives. So if you think this could be for you, I encourage to seriously consider applying.
Thank you so much. I don't see any additional questions from the audience, so I think we're gonna wrap it up here. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them on the chat or on the Q&A. If not, I just want to thank our panelists. They are in their exam week, so they are busy, the following, they're super busy, and also wrapping up for the holidays. So Wing, Florence, Dalina, thank you so very much for your time here today with us. Again, another fantastic session. And I always say that nothing like the people that are living the experience to share with potential applicants what the journey is like. I can talk about the program over and over, but I have not done the program myself. So nothing like people that are experiencing it. So thank you so much, everybody, for your time today. We will be sharing the recording afterwards. And then Wing, Florence, and Dalina, hopefully I will see you later in the big winter stroll party that we have coming up next. Thank you
for having us, Camino.
Thank you.
Joining everyone. Thanks, Camino.